This morning, Queen's Elizabeth's coffin is back in London.
Yeah, this was the scene last night as it arrived back at Buckingham Palace. Earlier in the day, mourners in Scotland were able to pay their respects. And today, the Queen will lie in state inside Westminster Hall. People, though, began lining up there yesterday just for a chance to say goodbye. All of this comes ahead of the Queen's funeral, which will take place on Monday. For more on the historic events and the future of the monarchy, we have a team of experts, including NBC News correspondent Sarah James and American Viscountess Julia Montague. But we begin with NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter near Westminster. Molly, thanks for joining us. Of course, the Queen's lying in state starts today. Talk us through, if you will, what we can expect to see in London and how they're preparing, given just that massive turnout we saw in Scotland.
Yeah, Stephen Ellison, good morning to you. Given the massive turnout that we saw in Scotland, we are expecting so many more people here in England. The Met Police estimates more than 1 million people, and I just want to show you where I am. So this is the line. We are on the other side of the bridge, on the other side of the river, from Westminster Hall, where she will lie in state. This is the line. We're told this is kind of the first 1,000 people or so, guys. We were here last night in the pouring rain. People were ready to camp out. I'm just going to swing you around to show you exactly where. These women are very smart. They got here this morning. They did not wait overnight in the pouring rain. But that is where the Queen will lie in state at Westminster Hall. But, guys, they are expecting over 1 million people. This line will start moving around 5 p.m. The procession with the Queen's coffin will start just after 2 o'clock local time, 38 minutes. King Charles will lead that procession. We know that Prince William and Prince Harry will be behind that coffin, and it'll arrive at Westminster Hall around 3 o'clock. Everyone in this line, though, guys, gets to start moving around the river to the other side around 5 o'clock.
Wow, 1 million people. That is just a testament to the legacy of the Queen. And we know King Charles has been touring the country since ascending to the throne. Yesterday, he was in Northern Ireland, which, of course, has a complicated relationship with the Crown, to say the least. How was he received there?
He was welcomed. Big crowds there. Extremely warm welcome to King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla. They are touring all 4 nations, so he is traveling with the Prime Minister as well. This country not only has a new head of state, also a new head of government. They are traveling. They've already been to Scotland. They are traveling to Northern Ireland and Wales as well. Really important to kind of start the reign, start his rule by making sure he greets people from all 4 nations. It is the United Kingdom, and so he was received warmly and certainly welcomed there with the Queen.
We see images of that on our screen right now. And today, the Queen's coffin will leave Buckingham Palace for the last time in a horse-drawn carriage. Those walking behind the coffin will include, of course, King Charles, along with Prince William and Prince Harry. And this is drawing comparison to Diana's funeral some 25 years ago. What's being made of that moment, especially between those 2 brothers who have reported tension right now?
Yeah, guys, so behind the coffin will be King Charles, all of the Queen's children, all of the Queen's grandchildren, their spouses, including the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, will be in cars following that coffin. Look, I think the attention on the brothers, I think everyone here, and we've been talking about it for the last couple of days, no one really wants to talk about the brothers right now. People want to keep the focus on the Queen. We saw those Fab Four. We saw William and Kate and Meghan and Harry reunite over the weekend. It was kind of a watershed moment out at Windsor. People were surprised. People were excited to see all 4 of them together. And, of course, the visual comparison will be made between the 2 brothers walking behind their grandmother's coffin. The woman, of course, who apparently, was so kind, was so nurturing, and really helped them through the death of their mother 25 years ago. But I think at least talking to everyone here in this country, guys, they really want to keep the focus on King Charles, on the Queen today.
Maybe it's more of an American twist to this, that the focus is on the brothers. Molly Hunter, thank you so much.
For more on the celebration of the Queen's life, let's bring in American Viscountess Julie Montague. Julie, Molly just showed us some of those crowds just lining the route to Buckingham Palace. We know these started, some of the people gathering last night. They're all just waiting, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Queen's coffin as it makes its way through London. Some people have predicted that as many as 1 million mourners could join these long lines to pay their respects. Some could wait up to 35 hours just to see her lie in state. For so many people in the United Kingdom, this is the only monarch they've ever really known. How has her death changed everyday life in the country? Has it changed it?
I mean, these are extraordinary times, and the scenes that you're showing right now, I mean, absolutely extraordinary. You know, this queen was able to keep the monarch intact throughout 70 years. Her 70-year reign, you know, despite the British Empire shrinking and despite many children of hers and grandchildren being splashed across the headlines for, you know, scandal or gossip. However, if the polls are to be believed, then the majority of Brits, yes, still believe that the country should keep its monarch, but it's really unclear if that was rooted in the affection that we're seeing right now for the Queen. Some experts do question the longevity of the monarch now that the Queen is gone, but you know, there's other experts that believe that King Charles III has had 73 years to prepare for this, and he will start to promote those important issues that maybe the youth in particular will gather around and care about and support, specifically climate change.
And Stephen mentioned in America especially, there is a lot of interest on Prince William and Prince Harry. They are expected to walk together along with King Charles behind the Queen's coffin later this morning. The image of them 25 years ago walking behind Princess Diana's coffin has gone down in history. It's something that almost every American remembers. They feel it, even if they have never been to the United Kingdom themselves. How symbolic will that moment be today for the world and also the United Kingdom?
For many people, as you said, watching this will evoke, you know, that poignant moment where we saw almost 25 years ago to the day when those boys walked behind their mother's coffin. And what you're about to see later today, you can't help but be reminded of that. And we know that for William in particular, he did not want to walk behind his mother's coffin. But today is different. You know, these are Prince William and Prince Harry are now adults, and it will feel much more right for them. And, you know, has this brought about conversations of healing and reconciliation? You know, we saw them, Fab Four at Windsor. I think we'd all like to think that, yes, these conversations might be happening. I want to make note of Prince Harry's statement to the Queen in particular. What stood out for me was where he said, we now honor my father in his new role as King Charles III. And three words really stand out for me: honor, my father, and king. And reading into that maybe a little bit, it seems to me that perhaps Prince Harry is someone who does want to start to make amends now.
Let's talk while we have you about the Queen's only daughter, because we heard from her, Princess Anne, yesterday. She wrote this in a statement, quote, "I was fortunate to share the last 24 hours of my dearest mother's life. It has been an honor and a privilege to accompany her on her final journey. Witnessing the love and respect shown by so many on these journeys has been both humbling and uplifting." Could we see Princess Anne take on a more prominent role moving forward, particularly as it relates to supporting her brother?
I think she'll continue on to what she's always been. You know, she is considered the hardest working royal. She, prior to King Charles III taking on his new role in recent days, she has had more engagements than any other royal year after year. But I think in particular, you know, over these past few days, we have seen the Queen's only daughter at her side, from Balmoral and all the way now to last night at Buckingham Palace. She has been with her. But one scene really stood out for me, and I think for many people, was, you know, when we saw that enduring image of Princess Anne dropping into that deep curtsy as the coffin draped in the Royal Standard of Scotland was then carried into Holyrood House. And an absolutely extraordinary image to see that deep curtsy for her mother.
All right, Julie, thank you so much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
And let's turn now to a country where the death of the Queen is reviving the debate over whether it's time to get rid of the monarchy. Australia is one of 14 nations around the world, apart from the UK, where King Charles is head of state, but the Prime Minister there is a Republican. NBC News correspondent Sarah James joins us now from Sydney with more on this. Sarah, good morning. Good to see you. What is the mood like in Australia following the Queen's death?
Well, hi, Stephen and Ellison. The mood here is reasonably positive, I would say. Certainly there are some older Australians who are deeply saddened by the Queen's death, but mostly what you get a sense of is a huge amount of respect for Queen Elizabeth II and honor for her legacy. And as just one example of that, all you have to do is look at the sails of the Sydney Opera House behind me, which have been illuminated in her image. And I'm standing here at Circular Quay in Sydney, where tourists have been taking pictures of that all night long. And there have been talking about the Queen, too, and her devotion to duty and imagining what's going to come next. The Prime Minister of the country, Anthony Albanese, is going to be flying over in a couple of days to the UK to be there for the funeral. Parliament here has taken off several days off. And indeed, everybody in Australia is going to get a holiday to honor the Queen. So the question next becomes, what about King Charles III? And really the question there is, how is he going to be regarded? I had the opportunity, Stephen, to talk to some Australians about that. Have a listen to what they had to say. What do you think about Australia becoming a republic and getting rid of the monarchy altogether?
I like the royals. I think I'd like to keep them.
I feel like they're kind of quite removed as well. Like a lot of, we don't blame them for much of our wrongdoings in politics. Like we have our prime ministers for that.
No, I think we should be a republic.
And why do you think that?
Because we're grown up now, and it's time.
So what you get there is a sense of the kind of cross-section of opinion. For some Australians I spoke to, it was very much a sense of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, although that's not how that expression is said here in Australia. But there is perhaps a sense of, let's give King Charles III a try and see how he does. Stephen?
A bit of a push of unity there, but we know the current Prime Minister of Australia, as you mentioned, Anthony Albanese, has pro-republic views. So can we expect to see a push in that direction in the coming months?
Yeah, he certainly does. He's made a public statement to that effect, speaking on one of the news stations here. But the fact of the matter is, what he has said is that he thinks it's important to wait. Have a listen to what he had to say.
It's reignited a debate about a republic. Do you think in this moment that that is appropriate or perhaps even opportunistic?
Well, I am of the personal view, and I've made it clear that now is the time for us to pay tribute to the life of Queen Elizabeth II, to give thanks for her service to Australia, to the Commonwealth and to the world, and that is the focus that I have.
There's another element to all of this, too, and that is that this government has another item that is at the top of their agenda, and that is making sure that there is a constitutional representation of Indigenous Australians, that's reflected in the Parliament. They've put that front and center. That's the first item they want to take care of, and that means that questions over whether or not Australia becomes a republic are going to go down until that has been determined. So there are a couple of reasons there why Prime Minister Anthony Albanese gave the answer that he did. Stephen and Ellison?
A lot of dynamics at play. Sarah, thank you.
Let's switch gears now and turn to Wall Street, which is looking to rebound today after the Dow Jones suffered its worst day in more than 2 years on Tuesday. It closed down nearly 1,300 points in reaction to August's Consumer Price Index report. That report showed inflation is still, unfortunately, sticking around despite falling gas prices. Joining us now for more on this is Robin Farzad. He's the host of Full Disclosure on NPR. Robin, good morning to you. We're so glad to have you break all of this down because this can get a little confusing. So let's dig a little deeper into this report. Even though, as we said, gas prices are down, we're still seeing big price jumps in other facets of the economy year over year, looking at energy, food, and rent. What should the average American take away from these numbers?
that inflation is still persistent, and the Fed has license now to keep hiking by chunky kind of 3/4 point increments, which is difficult. It's a foe we don't really know generationally. This kind of inflation visited us 40 years ago, and that Federal Reserve, before Alan Greenspan, had to tip the economy into a deep recession to spare it from the ravages of just unending price hikes. And people are feeling that at the grocery stores. You get a print every time you look at a thing of flour, bread flour, or milk, or eggs, cost of living, rent, clothing, services. There's just too much money chasing too few goods and services.
When you look at what's happening on Wall Street, what kind of response should we expect there? Do you think the sell-off will continue this morning?
Wall Street loves easy money. It loves the Fed flooding the plane with cheap money. You can take that money and invest it in their various arbitrages and carry trades. But when the Fed comes back and there's a bill to be paid, a tab like this, from a very plain perspective, I can invest in stocks and get a 2% dividend or something. I can put it in a short-term treasury, which increasingly is going to yield something like 3 or 4%. And a lot of people that made money during this flush capital markets of the pandemic, they're just, you know what, I'll just park it in a treasury and ride this out. And that's the problem. There's a crowding out. You don't want U.S. government bonds to be competing with private assets, but that's what happens when the Fed hikes.
So big picture, are there any fiscal trends that you are looking out for as we head into sort of this final quarter of the year?
I'm just looking at how much the Fed can jawbone, can telegraph this without actually having to hike several times by chunky. I call them chunky increments because we're not used to seeing 75 basis points, 3/4 of a point. Typically, the Fed moves up and down by 25 basis points. But going into this pandemic, it slashed to zero, and we were saved by zero. You might remember that track from the early 80s. But again, there's a tab to pay. You got to come in and do this. And it's a great unknown right now. Like, what's the cry uncle point? Is it 4%? Is it 4.5%? And I think investors are going to sell first and ask questions later.
All right. Well, Robin, we are glad to have you help us navigate through some of it and get a little bit more of an understanding. So thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And turning now to the latest on the legal fight over the documents seized from former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. A Florida judge has unsealed new portions of the affidavit used by the FBI to search the estate.
Yeah, this comes as the Justice Department is blasting efforts by Trump's legal team to delay its investigation of those seized classified documents, saying further delay could cause, quote, irreparable harm. For more, we're joined by NBC News investigative correspondent Tom Winter. Tom, good morning to you. We're so glad to have you on set.
Great to be here.
Let's start big picture here, the affidavit.
Right.
What do we need to know? What are you looking at? What stands out to you?
So it's about 9 paragraphs that were redacted or redacted in part yesterday that we started to see. The overarching theme is we're familiar with this, and the reason why they were unredacted is because we know from the filings and that special master debate that's going back and forth that there were a couple of grand jury subpoenas that were issued well prior to this search warrant. The search warrant really happened because the Justice Department felt that there were crimes that were being committed at Mar-a-Lago by whom they don't say, or at least doesn't say in what's been unredacted so far. And they went to the judge who oversees the grand jury and says, hey, normally we're not allowed to talk about this, but since it's come up and it was raised by Trump's attorneys, can we talk about these subpoenas? And so the underlying information that was used in the search warrant that has to do with the subpoenas, that's what was unsealed yesterday. Couple of key new details as far as the items that were handed over by Trump's attorneys, that there were 17 of them top secret or by his representatives that were turned over in June. On top of that, we learned that and have confirmed now that, in fact, they got surveillance video from Mar-a-Lago and from this storage area. And I think a big revelation is that somebody made on behalf of information they say that they received from former President Trump, they made the assertion that there was no information or no documents that would be responsive to the Justice Department outside of that storage room. Well, as we well know by now, the FBI says, no, in fact, we found documents in Trump's office. So I think it just raises more questions as far as what was going on and when in Mar-a-Lago.
And we know the Justice Department tried for so long to get those documents. So one of the big questions now, will they pursue any obstruction charges during this?
There's 2 schools of thought on obstruction. The first is if you don't have an underlying crime, the Supreme Court has examined this over the years. If there's not an underlying crime, what are you obstructing? So in other words, is there something else that had to have occurred here in order to bring those obstruction charges? On the other hand, people say, well, if you're obstructing so much that we can't actually get the evidence and we believe that there's a crime, why is that not just charged as a crime on its own? You're standing in our way. You're getting in the way of us lawfully figuring out what happened here. So there's really kind of two schools of thought on that. They have indicated that that's one of the things in what we've seen unsealed so far and unredacted so far, that obstruction is something that they're looking at, but it's just too soon to say.
That DOJ warning, if you will, from an outsider standpoint, the language they're using seems to be pretty significant, pretty serious. They're warning that delays in their investigation could cause irreparable harm to the government and the public. Do we know exactly what they're referring to there? And have we heard anything from former President Trump's legal team?
Right. I think they're tackling two questions there. One is what were in those folders marked as classified documents that are now empty. And the second thing is, could this information have gone to anybody else? We don't know who else might have handled it. They've said and they've certified, the Trump side, in a presentation to the Justice Department attorneys that, hey, we never made a copy of any of this stuff. We never made any notes off of any of this stuff. But they also said that there were no documents found outside of the storage room. So I think they've got some questions to figure out exactly what happened here. That's why you saw such grave language yesterday. I'm sure Trump's attorneys are going to respond, and they've suggested this in the past. Look, if this was so horrible and so grave, he's had these documents at Mar-a-lago since 2020. Here it is, now turning into the fall of 2022, and we're still talking about this, and you only executed your search warrant a month or two ago. What's the issue here? I mean, is it really that grave if it's been over a year and a half, 2 years on this issue? So I think that's something that you'll see them respond to. This obviously remains an ongoing litigation, so we'll just have to see what they have to say.
A lot of unanswered questions, a lot of things to watch out for.
Exactly right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
You got it.
Now let's get a check at your weather. Morning News Now weather.
Yeah, that's right. And we have Michelle Grossman standing by to tell us all about it. So great to see you as always, Michelle.
So good to see you guys, and happy Wednesday. Relatively quiet today in the weather world, which is good news. But we're watching a couple bigger stories, the flooding stories, one in the west and also in portions of Florida. So let's start out west. We're talking about Nevada, also portions of Utah, into northern Arizona. We do have a flood watch. That's where you see the green here. This is through early Thursday, so not just today, but also tomorrow. We've seen some flash flood warnings pop in and out. That means flooding is happening right now. Right now, we don't have any, but we're seeing some heavy rain falling in spots. So radar showing us where the heavy rain is falling, where you see those brighter colors, the yellows, the reds, the oranges. That's where we're seeing the heaviest rain falling. And this is what we're going to watch throughout the day. So chances for localized flooding, rounds of showers and storms. Also seeing that lightning, hearing the thunder, generally 1 to 3 inches, but we could see 3 to 4 local amounts where you see those brighter colors. Once again, that's where we're going to see the pockets of heavier rain. Now, as we go throughout the rest of today, we're looking at some storms also in Florida. So it's a combination between a stationary front and a sea breeze. These two interaction will kick up some rounds of showers and storms today. It could be heavy at times, and we're going to see storms producing high rainfall rates. So once again, we're going to see flooding in low-lying areas, ponding on the roadways as well. That happens today, but also tomorrow. So generally 1 to 3 inches again. But we certainly could see locally higher amounts, 3 to 4 inches, especially through central and southern Florida. That's going to be a big story today and also tomorrow. Elsewhere in the nation, really nice in the Northeast. Enjoy it because we have a stretch of really nice weather. Low humidity levels are dropping. Looking at sunshine today. Temperatures really comfortable. The upper Midwest, really nice too. 77 today in Chicago, 87 in St. Louis. The heat is in the middle of the country through the northern, central, and southern plains. We're looking at temperatures into the 90s, and this is way above normal for this time of year. So here's a setup. The jet stream so far to the north, that's closing off any cooler air coming down from Canada. It's lifting up that warm air off the Gulf, so it's humid as well. We're looking at 81 degrees in Minneapolis. That's 8 degrees above what is typical for this time of year. 88 in Scottsbluff, 91. That's a hot one, 91 degrees. We just have 8 days left before fall arrives, and it's feeling a lot like summer. And it will feel like summer over the next few days. So that heat slides to the east tomorrow, Minneapolis, 12 degrees above what is typical for this time of year. And we'll see this heat sliding a little bit further to the east by the weekend. Back to you guys.
This morning, we're taking a look back at the life and political legacy of Ken Starr, a pivotal figure in the impeachment of former President Bill Clinton, who passed away yesterday. According to a family statement, Starr was the independent counsel whose Whitewater investigation in the 1990s uncovered the Monica Lewinsky affair that, in part, led to Clinton's impeachment. He also defended former President Trump during his first impeachment. According to Starr's family, he passed away due to complications from surgery in Houston. Starr was 76 years old.
Turning now to New Hampshire, where results are rolling in this morning from two key Republican primary races that could serve as a political bellwether for November's midterm elections. Caroline Leavitt, a 25-year-old former Trump staffer, has clinched the GOP nomination for the state's first congressional district over former Trump State Department official Matt Mowers. Leavitt will now face Democratic incumbent Chris Pappas in November. However, the race for the Senate nomination between retired Army General Don Bolduc and establishment favorite Chuck Morse is still too close to call. NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns joins us now from the Granite State with more. Dasha, good morning to you. Let's start with that Senate primary race. We still do not have an outright winner, even though one candidate, Chuck Morse, has received tons of support from what a lot of people would call the establishment wing of the GOP. How significant is that he has still not won despite all of that backing from the so-called establishment?
Hey, Allison, good morning. So good to see you, my friend. And look, this entire race is incredibly significant. It's not only important for the voters and the residents here in New Hampshire, but for the nation, because what happens here, it could determine the balance of power in Congress. Now, look, the Republican Party is trying to flip this seat from Democrat Maggie Hassan. This is one of the more vulnerable Democratic senators in the midterm cycle. The question has been which Republican candidate is going to battle against her. The establishment, as you said there, did put their support behind Chuck Morse, sort of a more traditional Republican candidate, the Republican governor of the state, also backing Morse and calling his opponent, Don Bolduc, too extreme. Bolduc, meanwhile, is coming from the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, a very grassroots style campaign. And although this race is still too close to call, I will say last night Morse called Bolduc to concede. So it does look like we will have results imminently, and it will most likely be a win for Bolduc. Now, this is something that Democrats were actually hoping for. They had meddled in this election in the way that we've seen throughout this primary cycle, trying to boost Bolduc and sink Morse because they believe Bolduc's extreme views will make him a weaker candidate in the general election when he'll have to win over those many unaffiliated voters in the state of New Hampshire, Allison.
So when you're looking at this other race, the one that was called Caroline Leavitt, is her win unique to her and her candidacy, or should we take away something bigger here? Is this the type of candidate New Hampshire Republican voters want to see running in other general elections?
Well, I think the trend that you've seen coming out of this primary cycle and playing out here in New Hampshire is that the MAGA candidates are running away with this thing. Caroline Leavitt, though, I'll tell you, when I was talking to voters at the polls, even those who supported Morse and wanted a more traditional Republican candidate for the Senate did find her incredibly compelling. She's 25 years old. She's incredibly energetic. And when I interviewed her just a couple of days ago, she told me her youth is part of the reason that she's running. She believes the Republican Party doesn't have enough of that support from millennials, from the Gen Z generation, and she wants to bring that to the party. Gen Z's really looked at Democrats as their party, and she's hoping that she can infuse some of that younger energy into the GOP.
Fascinating stuff. If there's a primary election, Dasha, I feel like you are there. Wonderful job. Thank you so much for that, my friend. We appreciate it.
International headlines now, and Ukraine is making more headway in its offensive against Russian forces.
NBC News Tehran Bureau Chief Ali Arouzi joins us now with more on that. Good morning, Ali. What can you tell us?
Good morning, guys. That's right. Ukraine continues to make a string of advances in a lightning counteroffensive while also working to secure territory reclaimed from Russian forces. Ukrainian officials now say that they're targeting towns in the eastern Donbass region. In his nightly address last night, President Zelensky said that around 3,100 square miles had been liberated by Ukrainian forces. President Biden said that Ukraine had made significant gains, but cautioned that the offensive could be a long haul. The Mexican Navy has seized around 3,750 pounds of cocaine off the coast of Chiapas in a high-speed chase involving speedboats, helicopters, and cars. The air, land, and sea pursuit looked like a scene straight from a Hollywood movie. 8 people were detained on a small speedboat that was carrying 1,744 brick-shaped packages believed by authorities to contain cocaine. And finally, a new set of bowls and spoons developed in Japan that use electric currents to make food taste saltier is close to commercialization and set to be released sometime in 2023. The dinnerware uses attachable batteries to generate a weak, non-harmful electric current, a waveform of which passes from the surface of the utensil to the food. The ions bunch together and simulate the taste of salt as part of what the researchers are calling electric taste sensation technology. Developers created the product in hope of reducing salt intake in dishes such as miso soup and ramen. And those are your salty headlines, guys.
I was going to say, Ali Arouzi taking us all around.
Yes, no kidding. Into the future with that. I love that. Ali, thank you so much. It's time for your weekly checkup. This morning, we're taking a closer look at the potential effects marijuana use during pregnancy could have on kids. And if you are having trouble sleeping, we have tips to help you get some of that much-needed rest.
NBC News senior medical correspondent Dr. John Torres joins us on set to discuss the latest health headlines you might have missed. Let's start with this report related to cannabis. It's from researchers at Washington University, which is in St. Louis. So they're saying that they have found a link between marijuana use by pregnant mothers and mental health problems in their children.
Exactly. And first and foremost, it's an association. So they can't say one causes the other, but they're saying they're associated. And what they're talking about is prenatal cannabis, prenatal marijuana use, particularly in the middle of that first trimester, seems to be affecting the brains of children that are being developed up to the point where they start getting older. In this case, 11 to 12-year-olds is what they were looking at. Prior studies look at 9 to 10-year-olds, and they found the same thing, that they were having some issues. And we saw the graphic up there. What they're talking about, again, is that prenatal use and that first trimester, in the middle of the first trimester use, and it caused a high risk of some behavior issues in children when they got to the age, 9 to 12-year-olds, ADHD, aggressive behavior, risk-taking behavior, those types of things. So what does that mean to you? What are doctors' orders? Well, some people take marijuana because they have nausea. Some people take marijuana because it's something they took before. But the main thing is you want to be cautious about your cannabis use and talk to your doctor if you're taking it for, you think, a specific reason. If you think you're taking it because you're trying to avoid the vomiting that people have associated with pregnancies, there's other things you can take as well. The main thing is be very cautious with that, because now we know that it could potentially affect a child's brain, and that could cause problems even when they're 9 to 12-year-olds and possibly later on, too.
I wanted to ask you about this it's a survey from Ohio State University saying that it's the state of the world in general that's keeping so many of us up at night. What can we do about that to try to get some better sleep?
And, you know, none of us sleep well to begin with.
Yeah,
As a nation, we don't sleep well. But it turns out 1 in 5 of us, 20% of adults, say that the state of the world, the things that are happening, we start worrying about those, and so we can't sleep at night. Plus, on top of that, a lot of us use bad bedtime habits to try and get or stay asleep, or we use bad habits that cause us not to get much sleep. And so some of the things they're looking at is a lot of us end up using, over half of us use a cell phone right before we go to bed, a smartphone. 37%, so over a third of us actually fall asleep watching a TV. And we know those lights that come off those objects, a smartphone or TV, can keep you awake at night. And so what are the doctor's orders here? Well, essentially, you want to do the things you need to do to try and get to sleep. Number one, realize that the stress issue could be a problem. All the stressing you're going to do is not going to change the world. And so trying to figure out what you can do to get that stress under control is the key here. Relaxation, meditation, those types of things can certainly help. And then break those bad habits. You know, the bedroom should have no electronics in it. You should go ahead and have what we call sleep hygiene. You know, before you go to bed, you know, try meditation, try just slowing things down. And then if you can't sleep at night, if you're spending more than 15 minutes tossing and turning into bed, get up for a few minutes and then get back to bed, because that trains your body that the bed is something to sleep in, not something to toss and turn in. So just a few tips. Hopefully they help.
No electronics in the bedroom, though.
No electronics.
Wow.
I know, that's tough for a lot of people.
Yeah,
for a lot of people,
no kidding.
it's hard. So the last study might make parents around the world ecstatic. There might be some sort of recipe, if you will, for sleeping babies. What's going on here?
Right, and this is a big talker because I've talked to a lot of people about this. And if you've ever had a child, especially 3 in the morning, that's crying, you will do anything to get them to try and sleep because you're not getting any sleep. And it turns out that crying babies are affected by the way they're being held and the way they're being carried. This is a Japanese study. It looked at 21 infants, and they tried a variety of techniques. mom holding the baby, dad walking with the baby, rocking with the baby, doing all sorts of things. And what they found out is the one thing is when you end up walking with them and then sitting with them and then putting them into bed, that seemed to work great. So they even came up with a formula, which I think is great. And what they said is you want to walk with them for 5 minutes. It's that motion that seems to be doing something. So walk with them gently for 5 minutes, because even abrupt turns, if you're pacing a room, can wake them up. Babies are very sensitive. And so you want to go ahead and do that for 5 minutes. And then once they calm down, and in the study, every child calmed down. Go sit down with them for 8 minutes and then put them back in a crib, and that seems to work pretty well.
Fascinating. An important little ritual there.
Yes, set your timer for buzz. No sudden movements. 8 minutes, 5. I got it.
It's like walking on eggs.
Yes,
That's right.
Dr. John Torres, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, companies looking to fill the surplus job openings on the market right now are turning to an unlikely force of labor, Americans with criminal records. It's offering new beginnings to many who say they would struggle to find employment otherwise. NBC News correspondent Zincle Esamoah spoke to employers who say their hiring practices are good for business and the community.
There's an oft untapped pool of employee talent, applicants with criminal records. With 6 million Americans unemployed and 11.2 million U.S. jobs currently open, the labor shortage is now pushing companies to address this hiring gap with ex-felons through what some call a fair chance at employment. It's a second chance for people like Tim Chezik.
I was about 24 years old when I first started getting into trouble. I ended up getting hooked on pain pills, and then from there just kind of led into a life of crime.
Tim says he went in and out of prison for years, eventually convicted of a felony in 2016.
You just got out in May.
May 20. Yeah.
What were you most nervous about?
I was most nervous about is finding a career, honestly. It's not easy getting a job being a felon.
Tim did find a career through first-class vending.
What impact has COVID had on your company, particularly when it comes to hiring?
We're an essential business, so we stayed open the whole time. In terms of hiring, it's almost impossible to hire.
Impossible?
Almost. Pretty much anybody who wants a job has a job, and the people that are applying just don't have the skills or the kind of mindset that we want.
Before the pandemic, the company's Las Vegas location had 120 employees. Only 5 were fair chance hires. Now,
I would say a conservative estimate is about 20.
Sizable increase.
Yes.
And they're not alone. A report by job site Indeed finding job postings noting fair chance employment policies climbed 31% from May 2019 to May 2022. Manufacturing company U.S. Rubber in Colton, California, has employed ex-felons for over 20 years.
They have tremendous skills. They can contribute to the community by becoming employed, paying taxes, disposable income that they're going to use locally.
Today, more than 66% of U.S. Rubber's workforce consists of ex-felons, excluding felonies for murder, rape, molestation, and kidnapping.
I know some employers may think hiring someone with a criminal record feels like a high risk. What's your response?
No, not at all. I think people are people. The focus should be, for us is what are you going to do now?
CEO Jeff Baldessari says their fair chance hiring not only expanded profit outlooks, but professional outlooks for the individual workers.
I was in a dark place for like 2 years, very depressed. But now it's just like, I'm not going to let that keep me in a box because I know who I am.
Raven Bowie has been looking for work since her felony conviction in 2020. Though still in her trial period with U.S. Rubber, she's already considering a new career path.
Every single day, I'm going to make today better than it was yesterday because I need to figure out what's next for me. It doesn't stop here.
It's a sentiment shared by Tim Chezik, now a father of 2 and hoping to continue climbing the ranks at first-class vending.
How did it feel to have an organization and a company say, hey, we know your history and we still have confidence in you?
It's amazing. Not a lot of people trust us. Oh, you're a criminal. You're always going to be a criminal. And first-class vending, they really, they really help you out.
You feeling it?
Yeah. They gave me a career. They gave me a chance to make something of myself again. So.
Our thanks to Zincle Esamoah for that report. First Class Vending and U.S. Rubber, both partner companies with that, say they prepare formerly incarcerated Americans for life and employment after their convictions.
We're going to end this hour with a story that is guaranteed to bring you just a little bit of sunshine.
Yeah, much needed sunshine. 2 pilots are flying high after discovering they're actually long-lost sisters. It's incredible, but fate did not stop there. NBC News correspondent Gotti Schwartz has that story.
But I'm glad catch a glimpse of these two walking through an airport.
I think the whole thing was like so much fun.
And you'd think, gotta be sisters, right? Sherry Ritkin, a captain for Spirit Airlines.
Very nice.
And Tammy Holloway, also a pilot and manager of United's Terminal 7 at LAX. But just wait till you hear their jet-setting twist.
So you never knew you had a sister?
Never knew until 2.5 years ago.
And you neither?
Both the parents went to the grave and said nothing.
But in 2019, all that changed with the help of a DNA test and a friend.
My friend called me out. She's like, "You're not going to believe this. You have a full sister. Your mom and dad got married 13 months after they gave birth to you. And then 11 years later, gave birth to my sister." And I said, "Well, where does she live?" "In L.A. In L.A., I'm flying there in 5 hours.
For years, you've crossed paths as sisters and just never known it.
Yeah, right. It gets crazier. Like, the more we've come to learn about each other, the more we've discovered that our universes get so close to colliding.
Even going through pictures for this story, Tammy spotted one of her college friends teaching her sister how to fly. But their biggest connection, their biological mother, Cindy, who also worked in the airline industry for 30 years.
I feel like her passing, she somehow said, "I'm not going to let them be without each other, and I'm going to make sure they find each other."
Definitely.
To then find out that you have this whole new space and this whole new person to come in and accept and love you. It's really special.
Last week, the sisters taking flight for the first time together, sharing their love of flying and a sisterhood that was always meant to be. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Great story. Thanks to Gotti for that. And that'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.